Well,
And
I think we better
that's
go
a
ahead and get
possibility
started because I've
too.
got a lot of
Yeah.
stuff to go through.
I just
And
I just talked to Melody and she's having computer problems, so she apologizes.
okay. All right. All right. So let's go ahead and get started. So let me share my screen. You see Curious Minds State of AI report?
Mhm.
Excellent. Okay. So, first I want to welcome everybody. I really appreciate your coming. I want to congratulate you on committing the time to explore this topic because it's an incredibly important topic and technology, and it's going to impact, in fact, it has already impacted all of our lives. It's been impacting actually all of our lives for actually over a decade. And for a long period of time, people weren't even aware that they were being impacted by AI. And actually, I think even now there are a lot of people that aren't aware that there's, AI that's impacting them and many of the things that they do. So what I've done is I've kind of designed a program and it's going to be run every single month with each month basically providing an update on what's happened the previous month and what you can expect to see in the coming month or coming few months. I'm trying to design it so that everybody from the novice to somebody that's got a fairly high degree of expertise can benefit from what I'm going to be exploring. Um, and I'm quite sure that people that do have a high level of expertise will be able to pick up a few nuggets out of this thing. So with that, let me move on. So why me? Why do you want to listen to me? Well, a few things. I've been I've been watching a lot of people hanging placards professing to be AI experts, and a lot of them I just kind of scratch my head because I look at their backgrounds and I'm trying to figure out where all that expertise comes from. And one thing I would distinguish is that I'm not an expert on all things AI. I mean, for example, do I know Chat GPT? Sure. Are there people that are probably more accomplished with ChatGPT than I'm sure there are because I don't live every day in ChatGPT. But I've been involved in robotics, machine learning, large data models for decades. I started back in the 70s, actually in the Marines, in the 80s. I was developing large data models and doing, software development for the heavy construction industry and was actually involved in everything from the building of the Fresno Dam to the Three Gorges Dam in China to huge agricultural projects in southern China. I was on ships in the Sydney Harbor dredging with the Australian Navy. And so I've worked. In fact, I even did an engagement in South Africa, flying over terrain and using lidar, and which is basically think of it like a rapid data model for collecting data points on the ground, and it's not disturbed by foliage or anything else. So you can really see what's there, even if it's covered by foliage. In the 90s, I led an international team that built the world's first automatic robotic machine control system, and then the world's first one-man total station, which is a type of survey instrument. If you can picture, every construction project requires surveyors, and on really large projects, I think you can imagine how expensive it would be to have surveyors on those projects because typically it requires survey crews. And so if you can have a robotic survey instrument where one surveyor can do the work of several, it hits the pocket pretty heavily. So that was the kind of work I was doing. In the 2000s, I was, working again with really large data models in the knowledge management arena, working with everybody from Microsoft to Apple to Delta Technologies and a whole bunch of others. In the mid 2000s, I owned a managed IT services company. I was partnered with Salesforce, and my clients were companies like Sony and Canon and Genesis and Alcatel Lucent and so on. And most of the work I was doing was either dealing with security or dealing with large data models in their environments. So I've been working with machine learning with large data models for a very, very long time. So I know the subject matter well, and I consider myself an expert in this arena. compared to a lot of the other people that I see hanging their placards. Now, what I'd like to do is take a moment to break the ice. So I'm going to copy a URL that I'm going to drop in the chat. And what I'd like you to do is to go visit this site. And one thing I'm going to mention is everything I'm doing and have done already has all been done by AI, everything. And everything you're going to see as we go through this whole presentation has all been done by AI. So if you'll go take a look at that URL that I just dropped into the chat, click on the link. Let me also bring something else up I need to make that all work for you. So give me 1 second to do that, which is actually good because it gave me time to actually get in there and fire it up before you hit the link anyway. So let me know when you see a blue screen with a good-looking robot with the thing that says Curious Minds State of AI. Got it. Okay, let me do one thing more on my end. All right, so today what we're going to be covering is we're going to, we're going to work through this icebreaker. We're going to be talking about AI trends in business, particularly I'm targeting small to mid-sized companies and individual entrepreneurs. I'm going to touch on some of the AI tools that are available for small businesses. I'm going to talk about who the key players are in the industry. I'm going to talk a little bit about kind of the future outlook, some practical applications of AI. We're going to do a quick knowledge check, and we'll have a little bit of reflection and feedback, and that's just in this part. So with that, okay, so what I'd like everybody to do is to describe AI in one word. Just think of, when you think of AI, what's the one word that comes to mind, and go ahead and enter that in. So we got one response. I should see at least, there's two. All right, we're knocking it down. Need 4 more to go. Is everybody with me?
I'm having trouble logging in, so I'm definitely in the category of the non-expert when I'm
I
trying to
don't think
copy and paste this.
That's not an AI issue. That's a
Well, that's right. That's what I'm saying.
that's a basic computer issue, David.
I'll get it. Just give me a second here.
No worries. So we still have a few other responses to get in there. Come on, one word. It'll kind of give you the idea of what everybody's thinking, what people have in their heads when they think of AI. Anybody else going to put something in? Is anybody else having trouble getting in besides David? Okay, so I've got 3 words so far. All right, well, I'm going to go ahead and move on. So we got Terminator, help, and tool. I kind of feel like that's kind of it's, you don't put it in the chat, you put it in the actual tool that you've just opened with this. There we go. Okay, so we've got Terminator, help, control, and tool. So, and David, what's your word?
Control.
Control. Okay. All right, so we're still missing one, but that's all right. Oh, there we go. Terrifying. Well, you know what? That's, a good portion of the population actually thinks that way. And quite frankly, I don't blame them. And I'll explain as we go forward. So let's go to the next one. So I want to talk for a second about what are some of the trends that are happening. First off, from last year to this year, the uptake has almost doubled worldwide. So I want you to think about that, because this is the most unprecedented release of a technological platform since the PC. And in fact, in many ways, this goes way beyond the impact of the PC. And the potential impact of this is everything from awe-inspiring to just downright horrifying and terrifying. And I'll give you one simple example. I classify 3 different groups: the good guys, the bad guys, and the guys depending on which side you're on. And they all have huge budgets. And I do not see in any near term the world getting along. In fact, right now, with seeing that the Korean soldiers are now in Ukraine, scares the hell out of me. And they've got huge budgets, and they're all pouring money into AI. And the thing is the trigger's already been pulled. There's no going back. Even if we were to slap all kinds of regulations on it, do you think the cartels would do that? Do you think the Russians would do that? Do you think the Chinese would do that? I seriously doubt it. So the horse is out of the gate. There's been double utilization organization. Now, there are a lot of organizations that are absolutely seeing material benefits. You wouldn't see this kind of uplift if they weren't getting benefit out of it. There are, a lot of people are focused on ChatGPT. In fact, if you ask a lot of people about AI, what is it you use, as you're going to discover as we go forward, most of it's going to be around ChatGPT. But AI has been, it's been in the military for some time. It has been in healthcare for some time. Of course, it's rapidly scaling now because of the advent of these large language models. But it's just the trend is absolutely just on a fierce upward track, and there's nothing that's going to stop it at this point. So major advancements. There have been huge breakthroughs in the natural language processing. There have been breakthroughs and developments of far more sophisticated AI models, improvements in the AI hardware. And as a matter of fact, a company called NVIDIA, a lot of you have heard of NVIDIA because you use NVIDIA processors for your video in most of your machines. They're the leading manufacturer of most of the processors that are used in the AI space. But now there's a Chinese company that could well surpass NVIDIA in the marketplace, if not by the end of this year, certainly by next, which tells you how much the Chinese are putting to AI market. And then, of course, enhanced AI-driven data analytics. The biggest thing that you'll probably see, and it's more related to things like ChatGPT, is what they're doing is they're trying to create smaller kind of models. And I'm going to show you an example of a much smaller one that I've created. But they're trying to create very targeted, smaller modules. They're creating what they call AI agents, which are basically subsets to be able to do very targeted types of calculations and for specific types of technical work, whether it's in the medical arena or whether it's in construction or whatever it might be. But the major point is it's just massive, massive, improvements, trying to get rid of the bias that's in a lot of these large language models, which I'll talk about in a few minutes, trying to get rid of, you probably all have heard about when you use ChatGPT, be really careful about going back and reviewing what it's produced. Let me give you one tip when you're using something like ChatGPT. All these large language models, they work in one very specific way. They always are trying to guess or look at what comes next. So, for example, if you put in roses are red, what do you think it's going to produce as the outcome? Violets are blue. And then if you ask it again, it'll try to come up with something else, but it'll be along the same vein. So when you're using ChatGPT, always keep that in mind when you're crafting your prompt, that it's always going to be looking to try to guess what comes next based on what you input into the system. That if you keep that in mind, that will really help you design your prompts, because then you'll be much more targeted in how you explain to ChatGPT what it is that you want. Okay, so the key players in the industry: OpenAI, of course, the maker of ChatGPT, Google, Microsoft, NVIDIA on the processor side, Amazon, Meta, Tesla, which is mostly focused in autonomous vehicles, Baidu, which is the Chinese version of Google, IBM, and Anthropic. And Anthropic is a new player on the scene, and they're really going to be involved in this kind of ethical discussion, because these are former employees from OpenAI who were petrified about where all this was going. And so they tried to start a company that is really targeted on the ethics and the more social issues around AI. So how knowledgeable are you about AI? So go ahead and enter that into your screen. And so that'll give me an idea of where everybody's at on the scale. So we've got a little, we got somewhat, a little more, a little. Anybody else? Okay, I'm going to move this along because we've got still a lot to cover. That gives me an idea of the room. So what are your thoughts on the
Oh,
future?
Derek, I'm just going to interrupt you for a second. There were
Yeah.
a couple of people that came in.
Oh, okay.
Maybe if you wouldn't mind just sending the link out to everybody and let them know that the thing that we're looking at here, if they can just load up that link, and then they'll be able to join along with us.
Okay, give me 1 second and I will get that link out.
They can see your screen, but they wouldn't be able to, I suspect if they're not logged into it, they won't be able to do the.
I just pasted it in there.
Oh, you did? Okay, thank you. Okay. All right. So if you can get your responses in, what are your thoughts of the future of AI? Put that into that program. Everybody can kind of get a sense of what everybody's thinking about where AI is going. I'll give you just a couple of minutes to do that. And barring responses, I will move forward.
So this particular question here, where do we put it? Down in the comment section, I guess, or what?
Yeah. Okay. I'll tell you what. We will come back to this. We can have, because we'll have an open section at the end. All right, there we go. It's already embedded in so much of our world. I believe there will be great usefulness and trusted with great risk, assistance, hacking, good, bad robots. Now, what I'd like you to do, if there's nobody else, if anybody else has any other input, let's go ahead and get it in, because what we're going to do next is you're going to vote on the ones that you think are, the ideas that you like most, and you can vote up to 3 times. Go ahead and start voting. We'll come back and
Yeah,
we'll have
they're on the right.
I'm sorry?
No,
No, not mine.
Well, on Zoom, but he's in the tool.
Oh, I see. So we just need to minimize the screen and get
Yeah,
back
you've
into
got to
the
be in
meeting.
the tool.
I'm seeing them in the tool.
Oh, that's
Yeah, you
weird.
should be able to see them in the tool. I'm going to go ahead and push ahead because I don't want to get stuck on the tech here. So we'll just see where everybody's at. So it's kind of split right down the middle at the moment, but we'll have this discussion as we go on. So I'm going to move ahead. All right. For everybody's benefit, I'm going to put this in the chat. This is actually a link to terms you should know. And I'm going to be updating this terms list every month. So hold on to it. You'll get more as each month goes by. And pretty soon you'll know more than you want to know about it. So here comes the term. So you can click on that and download the terms you should know. Okay, moving on now. So does everybody see the AI trends on the screen and out of the tool? Okay, all right. So again, smaller, more efficient AI, really looking at smaller types of tools. So I want to show you an example of what I'm talking about. I'm actually going to come out of this for a second. And what I'm going to do is, well, let me just jump over and do it. So let me jump over to here. So this is a tool, it's called AI Coaches. And what this tool does is it's a way of creating a chatbot for your website. So if you look at our website, so if I go to Igloo Digital Marketing and you look at my website, you see it right here. Now, when you click on this tool, this image right here can be anything. So this could be a figurine of the owner of the business. It can be a cartoon character or nothing at all, but you can put anything you want here. The important thing is that every piece of data that describes my company and what it does has been uploaded and trained into the system. So if somebody comes in and they say, what is a fractional CTO, and they hit enter, what it's going to do is it's not only going to answer the question. So fractional CTO is a part-time or on-demand chief technology officer who provides and goes on and it describes everything. It also then captures their information and feeds it directly into my CRM. Now, where this comes from is when you build this tool, it's as simple as this. You're simply going in and they've got this section called resources, and you can go in and you can literally upload content. You can upload files. You can upload Q&As, and you can upload URLs, as many as you want. So I've uploaded most, the key sites behind the business and, the critical content. And so literally 24/7, that's operating for me. I don't have to worry about responding to somebody. They're going to get the answer they need, and they're probably going to get an answer a lot faster than if they were to ask me directly. Because I'm 68 years old and I don't exactly remember stuff as well as I used to. So it's really handy to have. But as you can see, this is the concept of a much smaller data model that's very, very targeted, that does a very specific thing. It does, it handles the chatbot for my site. And it just so happens it handles the chatbots for my client sites as well, those that want it. I actually have several different models, but this is my kind of premium model that I offer. So, but that gives you the idea of some of the things you can do. Now, when you look at some of these different companies that are involved in the space, for example, Microsoft, IBM, Amazon, what they're really focused on, as well as Google, what they're really focused on is providing tool sets for you to be able to build your business model the way you need it. So, for example, if you look at Microsoft's tool, they give you the tools to basically take all the data you have in your business and connect it through your Excel spreadsheets, your Word documents, your PowerPoint presentations, and so on and so forth. And you can link it all together and let the AI basically be the brains for you. So just keep that in mind, that kind of stuff is available and it's out there. And the thing is, as a small business person, if you don't start taking advantage of this, I can guarantee you your competitors are. And they're gonna swing by you so fast you're not even gonna know what's happened to you. This entire presentation, as I mentioned, was all done with AI. Everything, in fact, the offer I'm going to make at the end of this thing, all done with AI. So it'll give you an idea. I built this whole thing in a couple of days, which if I had to do that manually, never would have happened. It would have taken me weeks to get it all together. So some of the tools for small businesses, customer service and chatbots, I even was on a session. I think I've mentioned this to a couple of you, but I was on a session, wasn't too long ago. And during the session, it was a Zoom session. And during the session, somebody asked, was interested in one of my products. And I sent them via my phone number, to my phone number. I sent them basically saying, just send me a message there. And as soon as I can, I'll get back to you. Well, I had forgotten that I had turned my AI on. So the AI was running in the background. So the person did it during the session. And so he's asking questions. The AI is responding. The AI is actually takes him all the way through, books the appointment. And at the end, the gentleman says, Semper Fi, because he knew I was in the Marines. And the AI responded back, Semper Fi, which I thought was absolutely astounding because that would have been something I would have done. But the AI did it. And the guy that was interacting, I don't know to this day, I don't know if he knew he was talking to the AI, but he booked an appointment. Now, I'm of the opinion, I come from the school where I'm of the opinion that I want people to know when they're interacting with AI, because I don't like the idea of having something running through AI and, somebody interacting with it, not knowing that it's AI they're interacting with. But, everybody approaches it differently. So, but there's chatbots. Obviously, AI for marketing is really beginning to take off. The platform I use has AI built all through it. It's very big in data analysis and decision making, also in e-commerce. What you're seeing in every one of these tools is what I just described earlier. It's a way of implementing in your business. You start with one or two things. Maybe it's a chatbot. Maybe it's a writing assistant to help you write content for your social media posts. So you start with that. And then when you get comfortable and you get that fully implemented, then you add another one, and then you add another one, and you just gradually build it in that fashion. And if you do that, you'll be amazed at how quickly it'll be that you'll have a good portion of your business fully automated to a point where you really are recapturing a lot of time back. And as a solopreneur, time is everything to me. The more I can get done the more competitive I can be. So just be aware that there are tons of tools. And in fact, in the offer I'm going to make at the end, one of the things I'm providing is a very in-depth tool or list of tools. And I'll show you a snippet of that in a minute. Okay. So the next thing, well, here we are already. So here's the sample tool list that I was talking about. So this is the actual tool list. Let me pull this over so you can see it. So you can see right along the bottom, these are all writing tools, by the way. And this is the link to actually get to the tool. Some of these are pretty incredible tools. In fact, most of them are pretty incredible. These are video tools, image tools, audio tools. These are everything from social media tools, CRM, email, chatbots, SEO. I mean, you can see them the proliferation of these things is just incredible, the speed that this stuff is coming out, which also is a kind of little bit of a message of warning that I would give to you. Really vet the product well before you engage in it. Most of these tools will have a free license. Absolutely do the free trial. Or some of them have a freeware version. Almost all of them have a free trial. Absolutely check out the free trial before you do anything, because not all of them are not all of them are quite what they purport to be, but there are quite a few of them that are just unbelievable. I mean, for example, in the video space, there is a tool called Descript, which is a really great tool for doing video editing. I was on a call with Eric Lofholm the other day, and he was talking about how he wants his video editor to do a certain thing. Well, Descript will do exactly what he needs. It'll not only, when you upload the video, it'll print out the entire transcript of the video, but then you can go in and you can basically slice and dice it the way you want, and then produce smaller videos based on how you dice it up. And it's all driven by AI, and it's not terribly difficult to learn to do, and it can really make you look really impressive when you use it. So anyway, so this tool is one of the bonuses that I'm providing with the program I'm going to be offering. So, and this is a tool I will also be updating every single month with the newest stuff, and removing the stuff that I find or people report back to me is not quite cracked up to be what it should be, because I certainly can't vet every single one of these tools. Again, the players to watch: OpenAI, which is the creator of ChatGPT. This is just going to continue to evolve. Again, you're looking at smaller data agents that are going to be employed to actually do more accurate functions within it. And you're going to be looking at, obviously they're moving towards the direction where they're trying to minimize the errors that it makes, the lies that it makes, I like to call it fantasizing that it sometimes does, or like the industry term is hallucinates. They're trying to work those out of the models. The other big problem in these large language models, which we'll talk about towards the end, is bias built in, which can be a real problem, particularly for larger organizations. Of course, Google DeepMind, some of this stuff has been around for quite a while. AlphaGo, this was a Chinese game that, was incredibly complex, and nobody ever thought that a machine could beat a human, and AlphaGo did. It beat the world champion at Go. Microsoft, sorry about that. Microsoft.
Eric, can I?
Yeah.
I wanted to ask a question that's relevant to the previous slide.
Yeah.
And I put it in the chat for you there. Basically, all those massive numbers of choices, and I'm saying this half facetiously but half seriously.
Mm-hmm.
Can AI, like, you think about us sitting here looking at this, think, where the heck would we even start? Can AI help us make the decision about? Yeah,
AI can help you kind of filter through a lot of the noise. Another way is see a lot of discussion on the internet of, where people are talking about the tools that they're using. For example, Descript has been out for some time, and a lot of people that are doing video editing, you'll hear them talk about Descript. A lot of the tools that I use, I pick up from other people where I'm hearing, oh, is that what you use? And then I go and try the free trial. And, if I see that it works, I look at it from two standpoints, because I'm because I've been in tech for my entire life, I can pick up a piece of software and not have to really do anything to really understand how it functions. So when I pick up a piece of software, that doesn't happen for me, it just goes right out the window. So, it's got to be something when you look at it, it feels a little bit intuitive for you. And if it doesn't, then there are plenty of tools out there. But what I'm going to try to do with this tool set is I'm going to gradually refine this, and I'm going to rank it. And I'm going to rank it based on user feedback. I'm going to rank it based on my own interactions with it, and then also with what I can find on the market, to kind of back it. So you're going to see this get more and more refined as we move forward, to try to help with that very problem. Because you're right, it's everywhere. And a lot of these tools, you'll see people that are producing, like I picked one up just the other day just to take a look at it because they offered a 30-day guarantee. And it was an upgraded kind of data storage tool, $15. Now, how much can they really put into a tool that they're going to sell for $15? Now, yeah, there were a lot of add-ons to it. And by the time you got through everything, it was, I didn't do all the upgrades, but by the time you got through all of the upgrades, you would have easily been up close to, probably $300-400 in a tool, which is a little bit better. But still, when you think about the cost and the manpower to build tools like these, these tools can't put a lot into QA at that kind of price point. So that's why you have to be careful. That's why you've got to go with the free trials and and really kind of put your ear to the market. And yeah, to your question, AI can help with a little bit. Like you can go to ChatGPT and say, rank the top 10 video editing, AI editing tools, and it'll give you a list. And then you can go work down through those.
So if I say, for example, to AI, which of the tools for my type of business, I tell them my type of business, are likely to give me the fastest ROI? Will it answer it, or will it come back and ask me additional questions, or what?
No, it'll answer you. Now, the question is the answer correct? Because again, think about how large language models work, is looking for, what's the next logical response? Kind of like, roses are red, violets are blue. So, the challenge right now is with these models, you have to have some knowledge about the subject matter that it's responding on. So while that doesn't give you a great sense of comfort at this stage, it certainly will get better over time. But it will at least give you a starting point. It'll give you a point A where you can go and you can actually try that tool out and see for yourself. And then just do an inquiry on the internet to see how people are responding to it. All right, moving on.
Can you break these out, Eric?
Yeah.
Eric, could you break these out into areas, categories where they'd be used?
Yeah, it's already broken out. They're writing tools, video tools, image, et cetera, right across the bottom here.
Got it. Okay.
Yep. Okay. Most of these players, like if you're looking at Microsoft, if you're looking at Amazon, if you look at, jump down here to IBM, most of them are concerned about building tool sets for businesses to be able to deploy AI into their operations. And they're anywhere from enterprise scale like IBM to anything from entrepreneur up to mid-level and above like Microsoft. There are, for Microsoft tool set, you still need to be kind of a technical geek to go in there and kind of glue things together, but it does give basically a platform that somebody within your organization that does handle your tech can actually use that to basically pull, model together that might work for your organization. And again, the way I would start with something really simple, like for example, the chatbot. That's a really simple first step. Get comfortable with what that does for your business because it handles your tech support, it handles your initial sales cycle, and it runs 24/7. They absolutely work. So okay, I am going to have a QA at the end, by the way. So okay, so the challenges and ethical considerations: 3 major areas: data privacy, inaccuracy, and bias. Data privacy, huge problem. Soon to be a massive problem. In fact, my guess is it's already been cracked. There's algorithms that design these security protocols. For example, how SSL works on your website, how the public key, private key kind of policy works on your, protecting your computers and your data. That can all be hacked with AI. And, you get these large, what were considered large key sets. In other words, the number of data points that it could go out to in terms of from the standpoint of the security model to AI, where you had a regular computer, it might take you 1,000 years to crack it with AI, and cracked in a matter of hours, if not minutes, which is damn scary. Now, inaccuracy, that's a different issue. This is a kind of a word to the wise when you're using tools like ChatGPT or a number of other tools that are out there. Copilot is another one, for example. But any one of these that you use, you need to know the subject matter that you're producing on, because there could be errors in it. And the last thing you want to do is do a social media post, put it out there, and then realize that it's completely wrong. There have been stories, for example, where I don't remember this one completely accurately, but basically the essence of it was a story came out about this public school teacher, about crimes that he committed. And it was a story generated by ChatGPT, and it was completely and utterly false. And it almost ruined the guy's career, and it really damaged his reputation. So you got to be really, really careful when you put this stuff out. You've got to make sure you review the work that you do. And then last, bias. This is a problem for larger organizations because if there's bias in your data, there's going to be bias in the model. So, if the data that you've collected as an organization, when the AI is trained, in fact, they've done studies. In fact, I've got reams of documents where they've done studies showing where when they asked for, certain results, what they got basically was middle-aged white men that were, of Christian faith. That was what was in the data. And so that's what the model produced. But that wasn't representative of the organization. So, so for large enterprise organizations, bias is a big issue. It's going to be an issue for small businesses as well, but not nearly as big as it will be for large enterprise. Okay. Last thing I want to touch on is, if I can get this thing to flip. Okay. So again, start small, begin by using AI tools for 1 or 2 tasks. Don't try to do more than that. Take advantage of the free trials. There are a lot of AI tools that offer free trials or really low cost plans. Educate yourself as much as you can. I'm going to be offering all kinds of courses. There's courses available through Coursera. There's courses, of course, available on YouTube. Then test, adjust, and once you get comfortable, go to the next task that you need to do. But just do it. Start small, do it simple, keep yourself comfortable. All right. So before we get into the QA, what I'd like to do, if it's okay, is just go over a quick offer that I'd like to make. And again, what I'm about to show you, this is all right here, is all done by AI. The website itself, the structure of the website, I did within the tool that I have for marketing, but all of the design of it, in other words, what to put where, the language, everything that you're seeing here was delivered through the instructions that I gave to ChatGPT, and it told me exactly, what to build. And so I just built it. In fact, I wish I had thought about it in advance. I'm not sure where it's at, and I don't want to take time to try to look for it. I would have shown you the actual document that I used to build this from, but trust me, this is basically what ChatGPT told me to build. And I wanted to leave it as close to the way it was told to me because I wanted you to see what's possible. So anyway, the program I'm offering is a 6-week course. It's going to cover basically the basics, how, AI 101, if you will. That'll be week 1. Week 2, we'll get into ChatGPT, and I will turn it into the assistant you didn't know you needed. Week 3, we'll get more into ChatGPT from the standpoint of marketing and what it can do to market your business. Week 4, we'll get into visuals and how to use AI for generating graphics and doing some of the other design work. As an entrepreneur, you're always trying to figure out, unless you've got, you happen to be design oriented, you either end up going to Fiverr or some other, resource, when for a lot of things, you could just go into a tool and very quickly add a description and generate an image like the one you see here. Then on the next week, week 5, it'll be lights, camera, and AI. We'll basically go over automating audio and video editing. I'll show you exactly how I do it, what tools I use, exactly how I pull it all together. Week 6 will be the final class that essentially pulls everything together so that you can basically become an AI savvy entrepreneur. The price, once I get everything settled, it'll be $9.97, but as an introductory price, I'm going to offer it for $3.97 or $80 a week. The additional things that I'm going to provide with it is every student will get 1 free hour of one-on-one coaching. Each student will get a copy of the AI tool list, which is regularly updated. There'll also be 2 free group-led co-working and QA sessions held on a Saturday. I've got to figure out the dates for that. And I'm going to be starting right at the beginning of November, so it ends before Christmas. My quality guarantee is at the beginning of the program, I'm going to meet with each student and individually set course goals. If at the end of the program you've not reached your goals, I will continue to work with you until you do. Also, all my students are welcome to audit the same course for free as I continue to offer the program. And then finally, each student will receive my support on the course material for the immediate 6 months following the program free of charge. So that's the program. If you're interested in it, all you have to do is go to igloodigitalmarketing.com, AI-4-all, and I'm going to put that in the chat for you if you are interested. And with that, I am going to then open it up for Q&A. If anybody isn't already exhausted from what I just said to everybody.
I'm so excited. I'm in.
All right, awesome. Let me put this out, and I'm going to stop the share so I can see everybody's lovely faces and then answer any questions you might have.
I'll let you answer them in the course. I'm in too.
You're in too? Cool. Anybody else have any questions? Going once? Nobody?
You did such a good job. I mean, it's still terrifying, but it's only a little terrifying now.
It's actually a lot of information.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot to take in. And it's going to continue to grow. I mean, that's the thing is, and my biggest concern, quite frankly, for every business person, small individual entrepreneurs, all the way up to mid-level businesses, if you don't get engaged and you don't get engaged now, you're going to get left behind, because I can tell you that there are just droves of businesses that are already deploying it in their companies. I know because I've talked with a number of them and I'm watching it as it's happening. And people are engaging, and you'll see a lot of sites that already have the AI chatbots deployed. You'll see where it's been deployed for customer service, where it's been deployed for doing like social media posts. The tool I happen to use is a platform called Go High Level. They've got it built now throughout the entire platform. So if you're working and doing social media and you need to have an image, you can generate it right there on the spot and then add it right into your post. If you need help with writing your content, you can do it right there on the spot and have it generate the initial draft, and then you just go through it, make the edits, and drop it into your post. All the businesses that can are, and the ones that can't are going to get sorely left behind. I mean, imagine back in the 80s if you couldn't afford a PC, when all the PCs were coming out and people were, I built, what made me successful back in the 80s was I built a piece of software for the heavy construction market, because I knew the most expensive aspect of construction was the movement of dirt, moving it in and out of a construction site. And because they have to buy these really large pieces of equipment, and they, from scrapers to motor graders to, just a whole laundry list of different pieces of equipment. So my software basically calculated for them the optimal haul routes, And then knowing the characteristics of each machine, what machine to use, depending on the length of the hauls they had to do, what kind of material they had to haul, and all that kind of stuff. And then it would print out a report and tell them exactly what they needed to do. And it saved them a huge amount of money. And it was a really error-prone arena. And then we moved that into the next thing, which was an earthworks package called Civil Image Systems that did it at not only the haul path, but basically took a complete set of grading plans and did it for an entire site. You know, so imagine, you know, now we're at AI instead of the PC. And so the ones that are able to deploy AI in their businesses are going to just leapfrog past everybody else. So anyway, if there's no other questions, I'm happy to answer as many questions as you have. But if there's no other questions, that's
Oh,
it
that
for
was great.
today. I really
was great.
appreciate everybody's coming. And as I said, if you're interested in the program, jump on board. And otherwise, hopefully I'll see you next month.
So I got a question for you. What you just described there, you know, when you designed that software program, that wasn't AI because it was coming from your brain. If you'd used AI would have helped you design that program then, correct?
Oh,
or was
absolutely.
that
If I had AI back then, I would have been able to go to,
so what distinguishes
ChatGPT.
what distinguishes it when it becomes AI? Because AI is a combination of the human inputting into it and the result that it kicks out. So what distinguishes what you call AI?
No, it's more than that, because AI. Okay, so AI is a very broad, encompassing term, and it is describing something that ultimately will become prescient, meaning that it will become aware of itself. It's not there yet, but the speed with which things are moving is downright scary. But it's self-learning. So what they do is, and you can see, I mean, if you go on YouTube, you can see some clips where they've done, you know, where they're describing some of the research that was done in this arena, where you'll see robots that are playing a game of soccer. And in the beginning, they're making horrible mistakes over and over again. They make horrible mistakes, but they play 24/7 around the clock. Google has this in their lab. They play around the clock, and it just keeps playing. And it self-learns. So every time it does something, if it works, it does more of it. If it doesn't work, it does less of it. And they basically just continues to improve over time. And by the time they got into the end of the program, these things were playing soccer and they were scoring. And I mean, it was pretty wild to watch. So AI, you're talking about a field of computer science where you're talking about code that has been developed that will allow the system to self-learn, to be able to apply what it's engaging in and adapt the code and adapt the knowledge that it's gained to whatever task it's doing. And, you know, as I said, I mean, the big scare is, you know, what happens when that gets to a point where it exceeds, you know, well, it's already exceeded the, you know, in many ways, the human mind, but when it becomes prescient. Then what? Then nobody knows. And the scary part is, like ChatGPT, nobody knows, even with ChatGPT, with these large language models, why they work the way they work. They have no idea.
Well, because they just cut it loose and it figured this stuff out.
They just cut it loose. So, but it's you know.
And you think it's getting smarter and smarter, but in some cases it may be getting dumber and dumber, but we can't identify the good from the bad in some cases.
It's certainly possible, which is why whenever you produce anything, you always want to go back and review whatever content's been produced. And don't try to do something that's not your area of expertise, because, you know, it might tell you something and you don't know whether it's right or wrong, and you put it out there, and then people that do know the content are going to be looking at you saying, yeah, that was AI, and man, this guy doesn't know what the hell he's doing.
I live in Phoenix, which has been a test city for the self-driving
cars. Yeah.
It's called Waymo. It was a project that Google started it and then sold it off. And it's quite fascinating to ride in one. And to see
We
them
actually,
around,
when we
and-
were working on the robotic machine control system, we had a thing, we said it jokingly, but it was not a joke in many ways. Six-pack mentality, because most of the guys that operated these really large, you know, $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 machines basically didn't even have a high school education. And as soon as they got off work, they were going to the bar slamming down beers. And so the joke was, you know, you just need to have a six-pack mentality. And the machine, when we designed it, it was designed so that an operator would sit in the machine but do nothing. Basically just sit there and observe, so that if anything went wrong, they could engage. Now, I mean, I haven't looked at it in some time, because that we got sold to Thermal Electron, and Thermal Electron sold that division to Trimble Navigation, and it's gone on from there. So, you know, what's happened since, I have no idea. But I would imagine that they no longer require operators with six-pack mentality sitting in the chairs. So, all right. Any other last-minute questions? Well, thanks again. I appreciate your coming, and hopefully I'll see you guys next month.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks a
you.
lot. That was great.
Everybody.
Amazing stuff. Thanks, Terry.
Yep. You're welcome.